I still remember that day, just like it was yesterday. Went to the office. I said, something's off. 'Cause office was so quiet. People were not talking to me. Mind you, I was there for more than 10 years. By the end of the day, the boss was there. I'm like, that's weird because the boss usually is not there when I'm there. I ran that office for many years. I grew it to twice the size. Then at the end of the shift, he called me to the kitchen. And in one sentence, he fired me. No
Wow.
explanation, no thank you, nothing.
Woo! Welcome one, welcome all to your space for everything empowerment. I am your host, Tariq Williams, and not only I am Vision of Hope, but we are Vision of Hope. And whenever you're listening to this, I hope you're ready to be empowered. I'm waking up and recording a little bit earlier than I typically do for this episode. I'm on the Pacific time. My amazing guest is on East Coast time. That's not important. You didn't ask for that information. But what I will tell you is that once again, this is your space for everything empowerment. And this episode is nothing short of empowering. We're going to hear an amazing story. And I'm so excited to introduce my guest, physical therapist, business owner, keynote speaker, Mr. Regie Tiu. Thank you so much for being here, sir.
Thank you very much, Tariq. It's a pleasure. And I love that you're helping people become the best versions of themselves. And like I said, it's all of us, not only one.
And that's why my brand is We Are Vision of Hope, right? It's not just about me. It's not just about you, Regie, and we're gonna hear about your story and what it was like, but ultimately this podcast is to bring empowerment to all. And hopefully we can learn something from everybody around us so we can make this world a better place.
I agree. I'm on board with you there, especially with the last. I knew that we have something in common because one of the podcast episodes that I listened to that really hit close to home to with me was the one that you said no one's coming to save us. That's
Mm,
a part actually of some of the keynotes that I make is because having in my experience being growing up in a poor family, being bullied, I
mm.
learned that very early on that no one's gonna come to save me, and it's up to me.
And Reggie, when it comes to empowerment and just really what it means to be the best version of yourself, I'm just a big believer in I'm not promised tomorrow, right? And so the least I can do, the least we can all attempt to do is our best.
I agree.
Um, yeah. So Reggie, I appreciate you so much for being here on the podcast. And you are a model of what it means to be resilient. You are a model of what it means to deliver the best version of yourself, right? And what it means to seek more as an individual. So we discussed your accolades minimally, but they're all so great. And it didn't just happen overnight as you became a physical therapist, as you became a business owner, and how we got to all those different things. But in talking to you in the podcast, we really set the tone here and what this looks like because language is really important to the podcast. But I want to set the tone here for everybody because you came to the US with no more than $50 in your pocket, trying to figure out what next is going to look like for you, what it meant to be, like we were just talking about, the best version of yourself. So if there's one word to describe you coming to the US, only $50 in your pocket, what's one word to describe the feelings you had in your mind?
Huh. So that's a good question because when I came to the States, it's a lot of different feelings. But I would say if I can narrow down to one word, just one word, the most will be it's the hope.
Mm,
It's the hope of having a better life because I grew up in the Philippines. And I grew up in a very poor family. My neighbors were drug addicts and drug dealers. So that's the kind of environment I grew up in. I was bullied for being different because I was one of two Chinese kids in the neighborhood. And I remember before they used to call you names, chant racial slurs. And my parents, from an early age, really taught me, oh, you don't fight or just stay quiet. But I knew that that's not the place where I want to grow up in. And that's not the place where I want to grow a family in. It's just not a best place. There's not much opportunity. So from an early age, I always hear from people in the States that I had relatives who came here before. They said, oh, you know what? You got to come to America. America, this is like you can make money, food is cheap, all sorts of things. And they used to bring gifts to the Philippines. So you would think the vision there was like money grows on trees in America, right? And not only that, and this is something I can say because I grew up in the Philippines. Culturally, there are certain characteristics. And one thing and some people may disagree, but one thing in the Philippine culture is a lot of people when they go back, they talk a lot of they talk a lot of stuff. It make you. It's like they make them higher than you. They make you feel like you're lower than them, and that's the image that I always had. So I said, you know what? One day I want to go to America. I want to make the almighty. I want to make the almighty dollar. I want to make the big bucks and have a life, have a car, just have a better life. So when I came here, as much as I know I would struggle because I didn't have nothing.
Yeah.
There's that hope that, hey, you know what? I got here.
Yeah.
And I know if I work my butt off, I know if they had the chance, I know I have a chance of having a better life, not only for myself, but more importantly, for my next generation.
You know, Reggie, I empathize with that more than you know, because my mother had probably a similar thought process when she immigrated from Trinidad and Tobago to come here to the US, to really what it meant to, you said the almighty dollar, some would say the American dream, right?
Mhm.
But I guess I have to ask, in America, let's just call it for what it is, okay? In America, no matter where you live, especially if you're in a bigger city, you will find people around the area. You will find a lot of, let's call it for what it is. There's homeless people around, okay? And some of them may have gotten 20, 30, 40, $50 or what have you, and it's their meal for that night, and they just find a way and they go through that cycle, okay? To get whatever they need to survive the next few days or week or what have you. And that's their hope, is just to stay in that cycle. And just being real, with only $50, there's not too much you can do with that. And so for the person that feels desperate in their current situation, for the person that feels less than in their current situation, I feel like it's difficult to have that hope for more. So I guess let's dive a little bit deeper in that. Someone who feels like they can't get more, because just being real, $50 in my pocket and that's all I have to my name, that doesn't sound like hope to most people, right? So let's call it for what it is. So let's talk about how you even had that hope to begin with.
Yeah, that's a great question there. Because I wasn't looking at the $50 in my pocket at that time. I was looking at the potential. Because we're in America. This is the land of opportunity. And I sincerely believe that. Because in the Philippines, I have a degree. I graduated as a physical therapist. After graduating, I work in the hospital. I graduated in one of the top physical therapy schools in the Philippines. I work in the one of the top hospitals there after I graduated. But there's not much room for growth. Your salary is it's still, you're not going to be able to support yourself with the salary that I was making. So at that time, I had to make a decision. Do I keep saving the little money that I was making, or to risk going halfway around the world and have a chance to make more? So I was not looking at just that $50. Yes, that's what I had at that time. And I relate to what you're saying, that they will stretch that out. Because when I came to America, I had to collect cans and recycle them for 5 cents each, so I can have grocery money, because I didn't want to spend any of that $50. You know why? Because that $50, like you said, it's not going to last very long. And I used to buy the Chinese lunch special, the Chinese takeout. At that time was like $3.75, under $4. The chicken wings with pork fried rice. I still remember that. It's $3.50, $3.75. I used to buy that and split that to lunch and dinner. So I can stretch it out. So when I recycle, I have some breakfast, I have some, let's say some Spam or something, and then you can have lunch and dinner. So I stretch that out as much as I can until I got my license. And I got my license, so I was able to finally practice as a physical therapy. So the hope comes because not looking at the current situation, it's looking at the future. I always thought about, what can I do to make money? Because I'm just so tired of being broke. You know, coming from Philippines, my family was poor our whole lives, was disrespected. I see my dad being disrespected. In the Chinese culture, money or finance is very important. Similar to other cultures, I think the Indian culture is the same thing. They look at your status by how much you make or what you do, the job that your dad had. Give you an example there. I couldn't go out with a lot of Chinese girls because, well, yeah, most of them, because one of the first questions they ask you is, what does your dad do? It's like, he's a salesman. Oh, he's just a salesman, because most of Chinese are entrepreneurial. They own companies. They look at, oh, the salesmen, there are like people beneath us. So my daughters ain't going to go out with somebody like you. And even at that time, the girls would be like, do you have a car? No. Well, I don't go out with guys who don't have cars. They would just say it to you straight out. And those things, that sucks when you're young. When you're in your teenager, that plays in your mind. It's like, you know what? I'm just tired of being broke. I'm tired of being disrespected. Yeah. So when I got here, I have the opportunity. And that's no joke. The people don't realize that here, as long as you're willing to work hard, you can make money.
Yeah.
And I happened to have, at that time, I was able to save up and take the licensure exam. It was a process, yes. But still, I was willing to put in the work. I was willing to do anything I can. Because aside from the license, I also needed the papers. So that's the other obstacle. And I was willing to do anything and everything to make my dream happen, which is to have a better life.
You know, Regie, not too many people, once again, in your current, in that situation back then, would say that's an opportunity. But I'm a big believer, opportunity can be anything and everything. We're not promised tomorrow. And so what it means to really take advantage of every moment that you have, because every moment is an opportunity. An opportunity isn't just somebody gave me this advantage, so therefore I have an opportunity. No, you woke up in the morning, you have an opportunity. And I want to go back to something else that you said. You said that the hope came from the hope came from potential. Now, I'd be remiss if I didn't say this as the mindset coach here and being able to really speak into my audience. We all have potential. We don't all look at it, though, how Regie looked at his potential. But what you have to understand is that potential is only unachieved greatness. So like you said, Regie, if you don't put in the work, what are we talking about here? But you were willing to put in the work, and I love that.
Yep, thank you. And like you're correct, the potential, let's say in sports,
Yes.
you often will hear players or athletes, they have potential, but they never make it great because they didn't put in the work, never made anything out of that potential. And we can look at everybody has a potential.
Yeah.
Even if, because when I share that story, people will say, oh, because you graduated physical therapy. Well, even if you don't graduate physical therapy, I have patients who, let's say they're electricians, they do vocational. They make a lot of money doing that.
Mm.
Sometimes they make me realize, like, make me wonder, I'm like, am I in the right field? Because of the amount of money that they command when they have to, let's say, do wiring on your house, right? So anything you can make an opportunity out of anything. Like you
Yeah.
said, the potential is right in front of us. It depends on how we see it and do we act on it or not.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. Exactly. And so you are a physical therapist, but you also own your physical therapy business as well. We'll get to that part, but let's just start right here. And I'm curious, out of all the things, you had all the potential in the world, but you chose physical therapy. Why physical therapy?
That's an interesting story. Here's the I'm gonna be well. I always just state the truth.
No,
Growing up,
lie to us.
yeah,
I'm just
yeah.
joking.
No, I won't do that even if you ask me to,
Okay.
because I think people deserve to know the truth,
Yeah.
in that there is another side of the world, another side of life.
Mm,
Because people, when I hear people, just as a side tangent there,
hmm.
I hear in New York, you have people, they come up to you, they ask for money, they tell me, do you have a buck or two? 'Cause I'm hungry. And this, no disrespect to them. And I look at them and I was like, bro, you're 300 pounds. I look starving more than you. And because I weigh 150.
Right,
Right. So,
right.
I mean, it's just that, but when I was growing up,
Mm,
we are all when I say we, people in the Philippines, we're all conditioned to think of ways to go to America or to other
mm,
countries. Some people do it with their profession. That's why there's a joke when you listen to stand-up comedy, nurses and physical therapists, a lot of them are Filipinos, right?
mm, hmm.
Because that's the ticket out of the country. Uh, some will marry out of the country. And I don't knock anybody's game. I don't fault people for that. Because I know people who had done that.
Hmm.
But for me, did I have a choice in choosing physical therapy that I wanted? I'm going to be honest with you, Tariq. I didn't even know what physical therapy means or does when I went into physical therapy in college. When I was in high school, I love math and science. So I was training in the physics. I participated in physics Olympiad. So I wanted to be an astrophysicist. That's what I wanted.
Okay.
And then but my parents told me physical therapy is in demand in America when I was in senior high school. So that says basically that's it. You're taking up physical therapy.
Wow.
They don't ask, what do you want? They tell you what you have to take so that you can get to America. And at that time, before that, my sister took up nursing because nursing was in demand. Then, when it was my turn, it was physical therapy. So I did that. I was fortunate though that when I went to PT school, then I found out what a physical therapist does, and I fell in love with it because I have classmates who did not like it.
Hmm.
They ended up doing something else, or some of them went to med school. I was very fortunate that I fell in love with the profession. So it's not something that I really wanted to do. It's something that I had to do because one has the potential to make money, get out of the country, and two, if I don't do that, my dad will probably beat the crap out of me. So then, that's a very good reason.
There you go. There you go. For sure. Wow. Okay. So physical therapy once again, but eventually you said that you fell in love with it, that you started enjoying what you were learning. And to be clear, I recognize feeling like you need to do something, but you're still you're still somewhat in that industry, right? Quite a bit, I would say, and
Mhm.
doing a bunch of different things. Eventually, you fell in love with it. What about physical therapy then did you fall in love with?
It's the being with people. 'Cause I
Mm,
love serving people. Maybe because that's rooted in my DNA. I just love helping people. I love serving people, talking to them about their life, sharing about me. Because when you do physical therapy, a lot of them they go through, especially when you're in the hospital, when we're doing sitting balance runs or doing gait training. Sitting balance tolerance is just a fancy way of saying you make the person sit up for 15 minutes. What are you going to do in 15 minutes? The person is sitting.
right.
You got to, for me, make it more fun, exchange stories with them. And we see patients, even now, I'm an outpatient, we see patients a couple of times a week, 2, 3 times a week, 6 weeks, 8 weeks, if they're post surgery, sometimes 12 weeks, 3 months. And some of them, they keep coming back if they have chronic conditions. So for me, it's the relationship that I form with the people. That's what I fell in love with.
Reggie, I'm listening to your answer to that question, and I'm just thinking, what our world could be if that was the main reason why we did the things that we did. If we realized, oh, i- if we realized that helping people was at the foundation of whatever it was we did, and just being there to uplift others, make them feel better, whatever it is, because just being real, if we came into every job like that, if every day we walk out of our door and say, I'm looking forward to helping and serving the world today or the people that I'm around, I think this would make this world a much better place.
I would 100% agree with that. And that's one of the values that we have in our company. And that's one of the qualities that I look for when we're hiring. Initially, I was not. When I started my entrepreneurship journey, I was looking at resumes. Oh, they have this credential, they have this grade. But I soon realized, quickly realized, that that was not the best way to pick an applicant. When I realized that, you know what, I have to pick people with the same values as me,
Mm,
prioritizes the same things, and we have the same similar culture, same passion. And that's when things really went, that's when things exploded in the clinic and also made my life a lot easier. So I agree with you 100% there. If you have coming into the clinic, you see a group of people every day, passionate about helping people, happy about it,
yeah.
happy that they're busy that day because they can help more people instead of like, damn, I have 10 people in my schedule today. Instead of that, you will not hate going to work every day.
Public service announcement. Aren't you tired of it? Aren't you sick of it? Aren't you just done with feeling stuck? Aren't you done with not really knowing what you want out of your life, your purpose? And then, even if you do know, what are the goals you need to get there? Enter in the Clarity Code, the one-on-one coaching program for working professionals and entrepreneurs to recognize their value and truly overcome that burnout, but get clear and get the action plan you need to be successful and tap into your true potential. One-on-one coaching program, group coaching calls, recognize your vision, problem-solving mindset course. All those things wrapped into one particular program so you get what you need to stop building somebody else's dream and start building your own. Comment, direct message me. Links are everywhere. Let's get in touch. Let's make it happen and start building your dream. Because guess what? The world is going to tell you that it's unattainable. The world might tell you that it's too far. But in your heart, you know it's your purpose. And I'm here to guide you along the way. Let's get it. The Clarity Code. So I'm hearing you mention a bit, Reggie, about your company. You meet a lot of physical therapists and they work for this company, they work for that agency, and they do all those different things. What made you even create your own entity as a physical therapist and create your own business?
Ah, So that's when I believe that life happens to us. Like
Okay.
happens that's when I believe that life happens for us, not to us.
Mm.
Because I was just thinking of starting my practice before, but never really, never really did much until one day. I still remember that day, just like it was yesterday. Went to the office. I said, this is when I was working for somebody else before. I said, something's off. 'Cause office was so quiet. People were not talking to me. Mind you, I was there for more than 10 years. So usually like we talk like in the morning already, and these are people I worked with for a while. And then by the end of the day, the boss was there. I'm like, that's weird because the boss usually is not there when I'm there. I ran that office for many years. I grew it to twice the size. Then at the end of the shift, after I finished everything, he called me to the kitchen, and I remember in one sentence, he fired me. No
Wow.
explanation, no thank you, nothing. And at that time, it was the first working day after I got married.
Wow.
So not only was I stressed that I got fired, I was even more stressed that I have to go home to my new wife and tell her that I just got fired the first day after we got married.
Ooh.
And the financial stress ultimately contributed to the end of our marriage. And I was so broke at that time, I couldn't even afford a lawyer to fight for my son's custody. And my son's first year, I was seeing him probably once a week. At that time, I vowed to myself, I will never put my fate in somebody else's hands again. I will never get fired ever again. So I thought to myself, hey, you know what? How can I do this? Let me start my company, because if that works, I can get what I want. If that doesn't work, I was confident enough that can always work for somebody else. So I took the leap of faith. That was the push that either God, the universe, whatever you believe in, I think that was the push that I needed to start my own company. Because if I didn't get fired, I probably would have stayed. I was just getting too comfortable already.
Wow. Wow. Okay. A lot I want to dive into there, but I think the first piece of this, to those of you listening, what Reggie is telling you is that the best thing that could ever happen to you at your job is for you to get fired.
Yes, exactly. I know a lot of people won't agree with that. Like, bro, you just got fired.
Yeah.
Yes, at that
Yeah.
time. But
Wow.
that wasn't gonna be the end for me. And that's why I firmly believe that things happen for us, not to us.
Got it. Okay. And there's something to be said there for not wanting to leave your fate in someone else's hands. And so you created your own business,
Mm.
you had control. And once again, I think that, and I don't want to overstep here and speak for you, but I really believe that the reason why this has worked out for you so much is because even though you were broken, there are financial issues, and we'll get to that in a moment. But I think the more important piece to this, to your success, like even just getting to know you for the time that we've gotten to know each other, and even in this podcast episode, there's something to be said for once again, even though you had your financial issues, ultimately, what drove you to be great at what you do is the importance of lifting people up and being of service to people. I think if you didn't take your craft so seriously, maybe it wouldn't have worked out as well as it has. What are your thoughts on that?
There's a possibility because for me, because that's what my clinic is known for.
Mm-hmm,
So
mm-hmm.
for every business, there has to be a reason why people will go to you. Because People will buy what they want, not what they need. Yes. But people also will buy what they want from who they want. So you have to set yourself apart from the other people. And for me, I analyze myself. What am I good at? And what am I happy doing? Is serving people, providing that great experience for them.
Yeah.
And that enabled my clinic to just keep growing without spending on ads, just word of mouth. Went from 0 to 7 figures.
Wow.
Other people, though, even if, let's say, that's not something that they enjoy doing, which I highly recommend that they find a way to enjoy what they do. But even without that, they have to find something that will set them apart from somebody else.
Yeah. Yeah. Absolutely. And, but unfortunately, I would say that in this world, in this day and age, setting yourself apart from somebody else, I mean, part of that is just making it customer first, right? Person first. Recognizing that the person that you're working with is more than just a paycheck. I didn't get into mindset coaching myself just to make money. I did it because I knew that it was the biggest difference I can make in this world. And I know that the mindset and the things that I used to teach blind people, and because I specifically only taught blind people at first, it was more than that. It was the mindset piece. And if I could deliver that mindset to others to realize their potential is only unachieved greatness, to realize that they can have hope to really develop to be the person that they, whatever it is they want to do, I think they're so important because once again, every day is an opportunity. I mean, but I'll tell you, I didn't always think that way. When I became blind at 16, I really thought my life was over. But it really took some internal thinking, some internal, wait, I am still this person that can do whatever it is I have to do to be successful. But not only that, my obstacles, my hardships don't have to define me. They can shape me into the person I've become, but they don't have to define me, right? And so when I think about those hardships, you could have given up, Reggie, and just said, all right, I guess this America thing isn't working out, right? But you didn't. You decided to once again build your own business. So, and how, I guess, let me ask you, because what was the journey from fired to, okay, I'm going to build my own business? What was the timeline like that you were able to, because just being honest with you, and I'm curious to hear more about the transition there, because going from fired to build your own business, what were the steps in between? Because there's somebody listening that needs to hear that, because they're thinking, oh, well, this isn't for me. I have to give up and do something else. What were the steps to go from no longer having a job to finding a way to build your own business and support your family?
Yeah, that another great question there, Tariq, because the I don't want it I don't want to make it sound like to people that, oh, he went from fired to 7 figures overnight. There's no such thing.
I'll make sure I'll make that the title of the episode.
Because you hear that a lot in social media, and
Yeah.
I'll tell you, somebody will pitch you that's bullshit. Like that ain't true. Somebody who had done business, that will not happen. Right?
Okay.
So I firmly believe in what you said. It's people first, and that's one of the things I tell my staff: is we serve people first. The money comes after that. Meaning, we serve people. Yes, we charge people. We don't serve people for free, but it's the people first. Then they will help us out. Meaning,
Okay.
they will pay. It will generate the revenue. So the people before the money. It's not the other way around. We're not looking at how we make money first, and then how many people we're gonna serve or help. So that's one. Now for the transition, I want to make sure people understand that it's a period of time, because when I got fired, when my marriage was falling apart, I didn't have money. I was throwing a pity party with myself. I lost everything. I lost money. I lost my family. I lost friends. Those are your Facebook friends. All right. I think it's more suited as acquaintances.
Yeah.
I lost myself, lost my identity, lost my confidence. I felt like a failure. So for a period of time, it was a couple months, I was like dwelling on that.
Wow.
But I said, you know what? This is not going anywhere. And nobody's coming to save me. So I gotta I was like, I gotta pick my ass up from the floor
Yeah.
and I gotta do my shit already because this is not gonna help. It's
Yeah.
definitely not gonna help me see my son more. If I don't have a lawyer, it's gonna help me get that. So I started for several months, started looking because I decided I want to open up a place. Having your own practice, first thing, you have to have a location.
Okay.
Spend a few months looking for location, one that I know it's accessible to public transportation. Here in New York, a lot of people use public transportation.
Mm-hmm.
Ideally, it's going to be in residential area and a rent that I can afford because I know I need to stretch it out because it will take time for people to find you, to go to you. So I need to be there for the long haul. So looking at those three things, I started looking at different places. And also, while at the same time preparing all the licenses, all the permits that these need, you need to have those insurances. You need to have those liability insurance, malpractice, the professional liability, general liability, all those technical stuff. Those I already knew because I ran that clinic where I worked at for many years. So I
Wow.
know what I have to do. I just have to put that in action. And then I think it was maybe 3, 4 months. I was looking for the place and I found a place that it's accessible public transportation. It's a rent that I can afford, although it's not in the residential neighborhood. It's so in New York, it's a densely populated area in the residential neighborhood. There's a lot of competition.
Mm-hmm.
In where I worked at before, there were like 5 physical therapy clinics in a 4 block radius. That's how much
Wow.
competition there is. And guess where I opened up my clinic? Not in that 4 block radius. I opened up my clinic 15 blocks away from that 4 block radius.
Wow. Okay.
And that's because that's a rent that I can afford. If you're in that 4 block radius, rent is just so high. It's like double.
Yeah.
So I know my money is going to run out very quick. So because it has access to public transportation, I took a gamble myself. I said, you know what? I'm going to draw people to my location. I was confident enough to do that. The question is how? Because I always believe it's not, oh, will this ever happen? Can this happen? No. I said, it will happen. It's just a matter of how am I going to make it happen? And I use experience as a reason because I found that the bar for customer service or patient experience is very low in the medical field.
Mm.
Because I personally, when I go to the doctor's office, I don't like a lot of the experience that I have.
Mm.
Sometimes I switch doctors just because I don't like the front desk or the staff. The doctor is great.
Wow.
And now, help knowing a lot of the doctors, some of the doctors close down their practice because of that.
Wow.
So I said, I'm going to give them a great experience. That will be the reason why they will come to me. It was a gutsy move. And somebody told me, bro, you got balls. I'm like, and even had somebody before, a patient of mine said, oh, you're a cocky little thing, huh? And
Mm.
it's like, yeah, you know why? And he's
Mm.
like, why? I was like, oh, because I know my shit. Like, depend.
Yeah.
Well, sometimes when you have a relationship with the patient strong enough and depend on the language that they use, you are able to communicate with them in words that resonates with them more. So not
Mm.
everything has to be, oh, well, most of the time has to be formal, of course,
Mm-hmm.
medical, all those things. But sometimes when you get that relationship strong enough that they know you, you can use some of the words, it humanizes you more. It,
Mm.
it,
Mm.
it makes them feel like you're not high up here, you're the doctor and I'm the patient. No, we are all family here. It's my job to help you be the best that you can. So, banking on that, giving that experience to my patients, that started everything. But that developed in the building up that patient load took several years.
Okay.
So
Okay.
I want people to understand it's not in a few months. Just looking for a place took a few months. Then opening up, when I open up, I think two, three patients for the whole day. And I have a 2,200 square foot facility in New York standards. That's
Yeah.
a big place. We're like double than the other physical therapy clinics in the area. So it's a big place, and you have only three patients there for that day.
Yeah.
Little by little, it grew in a span of a few years. So there is a timeline. There's it's a process that you have to go through, but you have to keep working on it. Day in, day out. My first 5 years, I did not take any vacations, any days
Mm.
off, because I
Wow.
was working. I was the only clinician, and I had at first I didn't even have any staff. Then I hired the front desk. But the first 5 years, I didn't take any days off, just because one, personally, I didn't want to take any days off, because when you're divorced and you're by yourself at home, that's the last place you want to be in, just by yourself, because bad thoughts go into your mind. I mean, I'm not talking about like hurting myself bad. Not that. I
Well,
didn't get to that level,
mm,
fortunately, but the sadness, I don't want that to happen. And when I'm with my patients, I'm happy. We're chatting. I'm alive. So I love doing that day in, day out. And plus, it makes money. So
mm-hmm.
what's bad about that?
Yeah. Yeah. Absolutely. But Reggie, I'm hearing your story and I'm listening to it and I'm hanging on to every word and it just there's someone out there that this isn't connecting for. Okay, so follow me here. You come to America from China, from the Philippines. So you're from the Philippines, grew up in China. You end up in America with the $50 in your pocket, physical therapist, and that's the goal, to get the almighty dollar. Okay, that's what we need in America. We need more physical therapists. Okay, and then as things you feel like are starting to work out for you, you get married. And I'm recapping this because I really want the audience to connect with us here. You get married, you take your time off for your wedding and all those things. The day you get back, you get let go. You decide to start running your own business because you don't want to put your fate in somebody else's hands. Excellent. Makes all the sense in the world. What might not be connecting for people is that as this journey continued, your marriage starts falling apart, you're in a custody battle for your son, the odds keep on being stacked against you. You have to find the location, find somewhere you can afford. How were you able, after all the things that you had already gone through, and then from there, what you were currently going through at that time, how are you able to keep going?
That's a deep question. I think because of the hardships that I went through when I was younger, just being bullied, fighting in the street,
Mm,
and then you have to keep going every day, and then being disrespected, humiliated, all those things that brought me down. I didn't have a choice the next day to wake up and get back up again. And I think it boils down to my desire to have a better life. I still want to come out, quote unquote, successful, however you would define that term. That
mm,
kept me going. Is that the why am I doing this? At that time, it's a big why. I want to see my son.
mm,
For all the, and here's the thing. I've been in family court and Supreme Court many years, and I've seen men, and I kind of know why the law is partial against men, or even the judges are, because I'm seeing men. up and down. So from the court, meaning everybody, not everybody, but a lot of people don't want to have nothing to do with their kids.
Wow.
I hear dad say, "Oh, that ain't my kid." I'm like, that's a, I'm just thinking that's a dumb remark. All we have to do is do a DNA test, and you will know, right?
Sure.
For me, my son, I love my son to death. He's the most important thing in my life, and that's my why. If I see him once a week, I want to see him more. And if you tell me what's the ticket to that, then you got to pay a lawyer to defend to help you get that happen. I will make things happen. So that kept me going. So that's one. And also, aside from seeing him more often, yes, I already had him. What kept me going? I want him to have a life that I didn't have before. I don't want him to grow up in the street where one wrong decision can end your life or can land you in jail or something bad. So I want him to have the choices that I never had. I want him to someday be able to choose what he wants to do. Not because I want it for him, not because he has to do it to make money, not because he has to do it because that's needed in America. I want him to have the choice that I never had. And one big thing for me, and to people, I love making money, not because I'm greedy, not because of that. It's because of this happened when I was little.
Mm.
When I was little, I needed to undergo emergency surgery because I had septicemia. So it's an infection in my blood.
Okay.
And the doctor said I was brought to the ER. I was in pain, a lot of pain. I was I think, going to fifth grade at that time. And the doctor came in and said he needed emergency surgery. And I was lying there in one of the beds, and I remember seeing one of the staff nurses tell my dad they're not going to accept me in the hospital. And this is in the Philippines, so they can do that. They're not
Wow.
accepting me because we didn't have money for the deposit. So in in short, they were willing to let a fifth grade kid die because they didn't have freaking money. Like I would not have my go through that with my son. I will do everything I can for that not to happen. So knock on wood, my son is in good health, but I would not put myself in a position to have to choose. So I just keep going every day, and just keeping those things in mind. I don't have it. I don't give myself a choice not to wake up each morning and to work or to serve people or to do something that will be of value to others that can have an exchange for the money or currency or whatever opportunity or whatever it is. I just don't give myself a choice.
Wow. Wow. Reggie, in listening to you, it's hard not to just just connect, right? I think that we can all at least think about a person that we want to make sure that we're making proud, a person that we want to make sure we can be an example for. I am connecting with you very deeply because I'm a new dad. And I connect with what you're saying so deep because I know that I want to be the example. I want to be able to, provide anything that I can and make sure that my son knows that, like, no matter what, he can be whatever it is he wants to be. And it seems like I shouldn't say it seems like it is. If it's health, whatever it is, it seems like no matter what it takes, based upon your journey and your health and what you had to go through, no matter what, you want to make sure that your son doesn't have to go through that.
Yes, definitely. And that just during that time, that was my frame of mind. And even now, the stage that I'm in,
Mm-hmm.
What keeps me going is a couple of things. One will be on a personal level. Now it's about the legacy I want to leave behind, what I want my son to see. And like you said, I want my son to realize that we can do anything we want if we put the work in.
Mm-hmm.
Doesn't matter if you have the degree or not, whatever you want, you can do it. If I can come from growing up in the street, being bullied, having nothing, coming halfway around the world, being able to have a life like this right now, then what's stopping you? You can do the same thing. And the thing is, we have so much opportunities here. If a little kid like that, or I told him before, I used to play basketball barefoot, shirtless. And this is in 100-degree weather in the Philippines, 90 to 100, and the sun is there. Like we play, there's no roof. You play anywhere you can. And the pavement is so hot. It's freaking hot. And the way we look at it as like, oh, we can say, oh, poor us, we're playing in this condition. No, you know what my coach told me? This is a funny thing. He said, oh, this is good training for you because so it's so hot, so don't stand still, right? Helps you play good defense then. Because we play barefoot because why do we not play with my slippers? Because if I break my slippers, I know my dad's going to kill me because we won't have the money to buy a new pair.
Wow.
But just if I can go from there to how I am now, he can do anything also, especially him, because we have so much more opportunity here. I want him to understand that. I don't want him to take things for granted. I don't want him to grow up entitled. I want him to know that. And that's the message I want him to see and hear. And that's the legacy I want to leave behind for him. Now, for the clinic, it's a different kind of legacy. And for my speaking, it's a different kind. So I look at different things, and that drives me every day to wake up and show up every day.
So you touched on this, but I want you to tell everybody and really just define. And I'm not saying this in a space of, and I just want the audience to connect. Like you talked about your hardships, but I want you to discuss. You said how you got to where you are now. What is your life like now? What do you have? What is the story like? You're no longer struggling financially. Just really paint us the picture of where you're at now.
So for me, right now, we have it's a comfortable life, meaning we're able to pay the bills.
Okay.
We live in New York. We own the house. We live in our own house, and I have a cottage near a lake in Pennsylvania. My son loves to go there. We go kayaking, canoeing. He loves water stuff just like me, and he's able to go to a good school, to a really good school. I think for me, that's the comfort that we have that we didn't have, that I didn't have before. So for me, that is when I say the life that I have now, everything is provided for. My son never have to worry about anything. And then not to brag or show off, but I have a car that's worth more than what my father had made or in his whole life. You know, it's just those things. I know those are materialistic, and that's why I really don't mention that. But it's just being able to live in comfort. The other thing there is this is not a small thing. In the Philippines, it's so hot, right? We didn't have AC. You can be sleeping, or you just took a shower, and over there, we didn't have water heater because it's so hot. You want your water to be actually cold. After the shower, you start sweating immediately after your shower.
Yeah,
No kidding. Here, we have central air. So it's not even a fan. You have AC, you barely sweat. So he has that kind of life. And for me, aside from me, I don't mind working every day. That if I see him happy, he has toys. I grew up with no toys. When I was growing up, I didn't have toys. I had books. Because my mom always thought that, hey, you know what, you have to study so that you can get good grades, so you can go to America. You see a central theme, everything is
Wow.
geared towards America, right?
Wow.
I'm just being
Okay.
honest. I'm just being
Yeah.
realistic.
Yeah.
You study so you can get to America. We didn't know it was physical therapy, but
Sure.
by hook or by crook, by whatever it means. But you need to study first. I didn't have toys. My neighbors, they were playing, and they were playing basketball, playing video games. I was reading the encyclopedia. That's what I had. And my books were not even story books, not Walt Disney books. I was reading the Encyclopedia Britannica. I'm serious.
Wow.
So my son gets to read his books when he was little. I read the story, those bedtime storybooks to him every night that he was with me.
Wow.
So that's the life that we have right now. Can I buy any? Yeah, I can buy anything that I want. I just don't want to. I don't need to.
You know, and if you're comfortable sharing, it's beautiful to hear your story, and there are people probably listening who are car people who want to know the car that you have, but I don't bring it up to bring it up in a space of you to say, oh, I'm so successful. I bring it up because, how should I say? I bring it up because so often in this day and age, we're told and society tells us that the dream no longer exists. We're told that, oh, that nice house, that's for those people. I'll never get to that. Oh, that nice car, that's an amazing car, but you know what, doesn't matter what I do, I'll never be able to work towards that. And I just it's frustrating. And so, like, when I coach individuals and we're talking about mindset, truthfully, whether you believe you can or whether you believe you can't, either way, you're going to be right. So if you believe you can find a way to afford that car, you're going to afford that car. If you believe that you can afford that $1 million, $2 million house, etc., you can afford it. But if before you even walk in the door, if before you even think about it, while you're seeing the commercial of the car or the house, you've already decided that it's too expensive and it's not for you and you'll never get it, then guess what? You never will.
I agree with you there, 100%.
And so I'm not sure, I'm not saying this to you all to be harsh or to be arrogant or to be whatever. I'm telling you this because it's the truth. And that's why I wanted you to paint the picture of where you're at now, what you're doing, and what you have. Because once again, you're not saying it to be arrogant. I think we're using this as a lesson. For someone that walked in America with 50 bucks, now has the car he wants, now has the house he wants in New York, now has another space in Pennsylvania. Not saying this once again to be arrogant or anything like that, but saying this that whatever you are going through right now, there's a way out.
Yes. Whatever you are right now, it's temporary.
Mm,
As long as you're willing to put the work in and find the way, you can make it happen. Like you said, Tariq, it, I, r- I look at it as when you're playing a game. Sometimes when I see, because my son and I would love to watch the UFC, MMA,
hmm.
or even if it's basketball
Yeah, yeah.
or boxing, when I see the fighters, when they're square off, look at their eyes. If you see doubt in their eyes, you see fear in their eyes, you know they're going to lose
Wow.
because they already lost even before they got into the game or before they got into the fight. So if you already are thinking, oh, that's for them people, whatever, either color, race, or whatever, it's for them, not for me, then you already lost because
Yeah.
you already said it's not for you. It's, there's nothing that will tell me that I cannot do that. And actually tell me I cannot do that. That will fire me up even more. So I can come back and then and tell you you're wrong. Let's just put
Yeah.
it that way. Right? Because anything can happen. We can make anything happen.
Yeah.
We just have
Yeah.
to put the work. I don't ask if that can happen. I usually tell myself when that's going to happen.
Right.
I look at the how I can make it happen because
Yeah.
there's always a how. And then now is a great time to be alive because just go on ChatGPT and you'll know how to make it happen. A
Yeah.
lot of times, it's not really if there's a way. It's are you willing to pay the price of that way? Most people don't. And that price is not about money all the time. It's about the hardship. It's about the sleepless nights, the missed opportunities with your family. You have to give up stuff. You have to sacrifice things to achieve what you want. But then later on, when you wake up one morning, you already achieved those things. That's because you sacrifice the things before. So that's that's a message I want people to hear and to remember.
You
You
know,
can make anything happen.
Reggie, I'm so thankful for you. I'm thankful for the time you've given us today. I remember the first time I came in contact with you. We didn't talk much, but I saw you speak on stage. And as a speaker, you are someone who needs to be on all the stages. People need to hear you speak. You have an amazing story. And as I was listening to you speak, in my head, I was like, I got to meet this guy. But more importantly, you are this word is kind of getting how should I say? This word I'm about to use for you is getting a little bit overused because there are people using it that aren't really this. But when you speak, I know that you're speaking truth. I know that I am talking to you. You're being authentic. And there's something to be said about your story and how you speak into people that is just amazing. And I really am so thankful for you and what you've done with the space and how you've continued to be a business owner, help other people with their businesses, what you do as a keynote speaker and pouring into people and whatever and what that means for them, meeting people where they're at. Because ultimately, as a coach myself and as a speaker myself, you really need to meet people where they're at because we all have different journeys in this thing that we call life and what it means to work through it every single day because it's not going to be easy. It's not just going to be given to us. And your story and what you've done is such the biggest testament to all that. So more than anything, I want to thank you for the person that you are. I want to thank you for the community that you have. I want to thank you for being a part of this community on this podcast. I want to thank you so much. But before we go, Mr. Regie Tiu, I want to ask you, when you think about your son, when you think about your business, your physical therapy business, when you think about when Reggie's on stage, when you think about the people that you coach, what's one word that describes what you want to leave people with?
So that one word I have to say is resilience. So I think that sums up majority of my life. And I was telling a friend of mine, because I don't have tattoos, and I was telling a friend of mine, if there is one tattoo that I will make, is going to be the Chinese word of resilience here on my left chest,
Mm,
near my heart, because that is basically that symbolizes who I am, all those struggles that I went through to be where I am now. And that's something I want my son, if he can inherit that trait, that's one thing that I want him to inherit. But that's something that I'm building in him and showing him my story, all those things, so that he can have that. And that's a message that I want to give to everyone: is be resilient, because life is gonna knock you down. That's a guarantee.
mm.
But to stay down, that's a choice.
Wow. Reggie, thank you so much for being here today. Um, we gave some real today and just recognizing to everybody listening, whether it seems like it or whether it doesn't, if we could leave you with anything, understand this. It might get hard. It might get difficult. Who knows? It might be great for you right now, but recognize this. If you got to make change in your life to get to your goal, to get to your dream, recognize that you have a choice and that you can. Regie, thank you so much for being here on the podcast today. I appreciate you so much. And I can't wait to continue talking with you and building our friendship. And thank you so much for being here today.
Thank you for having me, Tariq. It was an honor. It was a pleasure.
Once again, this is the Speak Your Vision podcast. I am your mindset and problem-solving coach, Tariq Williams, empowering individuals, working professionals, and business owners to beat that burnout and recognize their value. This is the Speak Your Vision podcast. I am the listener. That is the great Mr. Regie Tiu. Not only I am Vision of Hope, it's about uplifting all of us. We are Vision of Hope. Have a great day, everybody.